Hello everyone and welcome to Tokyo on Fire. Today is November 24th, 2016. Happy Thanksgiving. Yesterday was Labor Day in Japan, a national holiday. I'm joined by my co-host, Michael Cucek. Michael, thank you very much.
It's great to be here. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone in the United States.
Today we are reporting from a slushy, blustery, and snowy Tokyo.
But one that got a good shake in the morning, and we'll be probably talking about that.
Right. Before we get into that, let's talk about Abe's incredibly busy schedule last week. You know, he went to visit President-elect Donald Trump.
On his way to this APEC summit, he took a short break. It wasn't really a detour, but it looks kind of interesting that he really got onto a plane and didn't know if he was going to meet him or not, but darned if he didn't.
Sure. We've heard a little bit of the scuttlebutt leading up to that meeting. It was really thrown together. It caused a little bit of consternation among the State Department individuals who usually do this sort of thing.
And not only just the State Department, but here in Tokyo,
right.
You could see that MOFA, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, was really against this. There in fact were competing factions. There was the Kante, the Prime Minister's residence, sent its person,
right.
and MOFA sent its person, and they were both going around Washington meeting people. Now, whether MOFA really was trying to subvert what the Kante was doing is a question, but it sure looked strange. And certainly folks that I've spoken to in Washington and said, they're competing here. They're competing for attention, they're competing for time. And there was even a report that, well, good luck to you, Mr. Abe, which was clearly something that was leaked by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Right. Well, as we've reported before, it is a whole new world here. I mean, what Donald Trump is going to bring to the White House, what his administration is going to look like, what U.S.-Japan relations are going to look like, I think is going to be vastly different than what it's been like for the last 8 years.
I think it's going to be vastly different than anything we've seen in the last 30. Last week when we recorded this show with Dr. Gerald Curtis, he said he was very impressed with the way that the Abe administration got at least a few contacts going with the Trump team before the election happened, because it was really not something that they had really concentrated on. My sense is that really they almost had nothing.
Right.
There was only the fact that Flynn had come here and spoken to various individuals, and not just in the Abe administration, spoke to some of the defense mavens inside the DP, for example, inside the Democratic Party. He just did a tour of the usual suspects in defense and security. And that's pretty much the extent of the connections that existed.
Right.
Or at least as far as I know. Do you know something more?
Well, from what I know, it was a bit of a back-channel approach to the president-elect. It did cause a little bit of discomfort in the Trump Tower for the Prime Minister to kind of insert himself somewhat unannounced, unprepared. I mean, both sides were unprepared. I mean, the people who were in this meeting, basically a rather secured meeting. There was a lot of, controversy about that.
The Trump side didn't even have a translator.
That's right.
So they had to rely on Mr. Abe's translator, which, of course, foreign policy folks said, gosh, what a team of amateurs, that you always have your own translator to dump stuff on and also get the information from. So it was
But I don't think it was that kind of a meeting. I mean,
I think so.
The Prime Minister speaks eloquent English. I mean, he can hold his own.
He can hold his own, but you clearly, if you're coming in to a leader-to-leader kind of meeting, you need your translator with you.
He wanted to be the first in, and he thought that this would generate a little bit of leeway for himself later in the week. It turns out that it quite didn't work that way.
Oh, he went from New York to the APEC summit in Lima. And Japan was in a new position now geopolitically, where we have in the United States an individual who is going to be pulling seemingly the United States out of a lot of international commitments. Sure, President Obama was there as a symbol of the United States, but everyone saw that whatever he was doing was built on sand, because the man in New York was saying quite different things. And Mr. Abe suddenly became the point man, as it were, for, at least in the Asia Pacific, for liberal internationalism, which is a big change for all those of us who are sort of on the left and do Japanese studies. Suddenly we have to think about Abe's the guy we have to rely on to keep the structure going.
Isn't it funny, though? I mean, Japan, this is so out of context from what we've grown to know about Japan.
Yeah, Japan was the stick in the mud.
That's right. And now they are the standard bearer. I mean, it's the longest administration of all of the major countries. They're the ones that are...
Well, Merkel's been around for a very, very long time in Germany. But nevertheless, in terms of the Asia-Pacific side, yeah. And gosh darn, suddenly Abe is the one who has
holding the banner.
He has to hold the banner of liberalism, which it just shows how transformed the world has become in what is the backwash from the global financial crisis. Sure, there was a response, but clearly there are all kinds of resentments that have built up all over the world. We have Brexit, that was unexpected. We have the rise of the right wing on the continent in Europe, and now we have the Trump presidency. Japan is an island in more ways than one now.
Sure. That's terrific, Michael. I'd like to talk a little bit more about Abe and Putin in a later episode. Please stay tuned. We're going to keep our eye on what's going on with the United States and Japan.